Welcome to Adam's Athenaeum. Let's take a look together through the news and records of our times as we try to shed light upon the unvarnished truth. Thanks for coming back to listen to this episode where we're going to talk about fact-checking the fact-checkers. Now, to start off this episode, let's just start off with the idea that I like the premise behind presenting honorable, fact-driven truth, data, and studies. However, when someone who's trying to provide relevant information to thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of people like you, when we have the potential to lose our channels, to lose our monetization for simply having something misconstrued or slightly different from the political narrative that you're hearing on the mainstream news, we have a chance of losing all of our channels, losing our monetization, losing our way of living. And that's what I don't agree with. Yes, there needs to be a way to check people's facts in news articles, but we need to figure out a different way to punish those who are blatantly putting out false news articles, false headlines, and misleading information every single day. Let's go ahead and get started with this episode by pulling up an article here from CNN titled Fact Check: How 3 New Republican Attack Ads Deceive on Policing and Crime. Now, this article is from last week by Daniel Dale. And in it, I'm going to skip just a little ways down. In it, he's basically giving a synopsis saying that on one of these, Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott deceptively sliced and diced a quote on police funding from Democratic challenger Beto O'Rourke. All right, well, we'll look into it. Or what about this one? He also says, an ad from Ohio Republican J.D. Vance baselessly insinuated that his Democratic opponent for the U.S. Senate, Representative Tim Ryan, supports defunding the police. So we'll get into these a little bit more and see what this fact checker has to say. All right. Texas. Greg Abbott ad slices and dices a Beto O'Rourke quote. Last November, CNN fact-checked an attack ad from Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott that misleadingly rearranged quotes from his Democratic opponent, former Congressman Beto O'Rourke. This week, Abbott released another ad that uses some of the same sneaky editing. This new ad shows O'Rourke appearing to say this: I really love that Black Lives Matter and other protesters have put this front and center to defund police forces. Now, one thing that they kind of left out is that, oh no, they didn't include it. Very good. So I will give it to the article writer here that they said facts first. The Abbott ad stitches together parts of 2 different sentences to make O'Rourke's comment about defunding the police seem more categorical than it was. So let's read the full quote together. It says here, I really love that Black Lives Matters and other protesters have put this front and center to defund, these line items that have over-militarized our police and instead invest that money in the human capital of your community. Make sure that you have the services, the help, the support, the healthcare necessary to be well and not require police intervention. And then also in some necessary cases, completely dismantling those police forces and rebuilding them. Okay, so I see the angle he took here. So the CNN writer here is saying that this is a fake news article because Beto O'Rourke never said directly that he wants to defund the police. There was just 55 words in between defund the police. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. Beto O'Rourke said, I love that the Black Lives Matter and other protesters have put this front and center to defund. And then the very last sentence of this quote says, and then also in some necessary cases, completely dismantling those police forces and rebuilding them. That's all I need right there. That right there tells me you want to defund the police. I don't care what your small specific strategies are for defunding the police that you don't consider to be part of the defund the police movement. If you want the police to be less militarized, aka have shitty gear and bad equipment that will cause more problems than good, sure. Or what about invest money in the human capital of your community? He's basically saying, go hire social workers and send them out on these crazy calls instead of police. Oh, okay. Because that works. Right. All right. So it's obvious from this article, from this first part of the article, this was not fake news. Anyone who's followed Beto O'Rourke's messaging, he is not a proud supporter of the police. He does not stand behind them. He does not support them. He may not be directly supportive of the defund the police movement, but he is supportive of the ideas in the defund the police movement. All right, let's continue. Says, Ohio, J.D. Vance ad baselessly insinuates that Tim Ryan supports defunding the police. An ad released last week by Ohio Republican J.D. Vance, who is running for the U.S. Senate, features Vance making this claim about his Democratic opponent, Rep. Tim Ryan. Quote, streets are exploding with drugs and violence, while liberals like Tim Ryan attack and defund our police. Facts first, they say. Vance's claim about Ryan is misleading at best. Ryan opposes defunding the police and has not voted to defund the police. The ad's use of the phrase liberals like Tim Ryan allowed Vance to avoid directly saying that Ryan himself has defunded the police or wants to defund the police. Still, Vance's remarks certainly created the impression that Ryan is a supporter of defunding the police, and this is just not true. Good job. Good job on this part of your article, man. On 1 out of 3 sections anyway, so far. You got this correct. Out of all the research I've done, out of everything I've been able to find online, quotes from Tim Ryan, it says what they say in this article. From what I can tell, he opposes the defund the police movement. He has not voted in any form to defund the police or to crack down on budgets or to take away any gear that police departments currently have. So good job on this. You actually did a good job. You actually did the right thing at CNN for once. Good job. But wait, we're not all the way through the article yet. Let's keep going. As we continue to the last portion of the article here, he says, New Mexico, Mark Ronchetti ad attacks Democratic governor while citing incident that happened under a Republican governor. Last week, Mark Ronchetti, the Republican candidate for governor of New Mexico, released a dramatic ad attacking incumbent Democrat Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham over criminal justice. Now, I'm going to skip over what he has to write because I've got this video pulled up so we can check it out together. Let me get just a second so I can get this pulled up and we can all look at the same video together. Make sure we're good to go. All right, let's try. From Mark Ronchetti's Twitter page, says, everyone in New Mexico has a crime story, and it doesn't have to be this way. My family has one too. An intruder broke into my family's home. My wife, Christy, tells the story of hiding in the closet with our daughters, with a criminal in our house. Let's check out the video. Ooh.
The girls and I were home alone, and I saw the front door starting to shake. I heard the door slam downstairs, and I knew somebody was in our house. The girls were very upset. I started crying because I was so scared. I knew that it would take seconds for somebody to come and do whatever they wanted to do to us.
She said, I have 911 on the line. The girls and I are in the closet. I've got the gun. It's aimed at the door.
Sorry, folks. Got a little slow internet right now. Bear with me. Should finish loading in just a second here.
Please come home.
I've never been more relieved, more happy to see those cops.
So I opened the door and I looked at them and I just fell apart. Not every situation ends this way. Everybody seems to have a crime story. This is one of the biggest reasons I got into politics, because we can't keep doing this.
Governor Lujan Grisham has made it easier to be a criminal than a cop. She's released criminals from prison early and appointed soft on crime judges. My plan changes that, starting with ending catch and release. I'm Mark Ronchetti.
Alrighty. Well, let's talk about that. Did it seem to you as though the governor was making a big political stunt out of this? No. I would ask, did this seem like a normal political ad? Yeah. There's a slight twisting and bending of the story and the facts to make it fit current day issues that are happening. But the point is true across time. Mark Ronchetti is upset because the current Democratic leadership in New Mexico has been soft on crime, soft on bail laws, and have released criminals during COVID that only worsened their crime statistics out there in New Mexico. So we've got the writer of this article trying to say that Mark Ronchetti ad attacks Democratic governor while citing an incident that happened under a Republican governor. So your title is pretty much correct, right? However, actually, I'll give you a little bit of credit here. Mark Ronchetti should not have used a personal attack that happened to him years ago as a factual foundation of why to currently change whatever leadership you're under. I don't think it's fair to say that the crime that happened 10 years ago is the same way that crime is now. And it's your fault that this happened to me, so you must be replaced. I don't agree with that sentiment, but I agree with the idea that, and it's clear to anyone who looks up crime statistics, data, FBI reports, hell, just go watch a couple YouTube videos on recent crime in New Mexico, and you'll see crime is up. Crime is widespread. A lot of it has to do with immigration and border policies. So what does he want to do? Well, he wants to make a stop to that. He wants to enforce migration laws. And he wants to stop this Democratic regime and their policies that are wrapped up in their ideology that say it's okay for you to be attacked. You're a white man. You're part of the patriarchy. It's okay. You had this coming. This is just reparations. This happened to many Black people decades ago. So now, it's just fair that it happens to you. I don't agree with that. I would say that his point is pure. Crime has not gone away. Democrats have promised you, we're going to take away guns, we're going to take away this, that, the other, and we're going to stop crime in its tracks. Have they done that? No. Can they constitutionally do that? No. They're just trying to get your votes. So what can we take from this episode? First, truth matters. Facts matter. You can't just put out a three-section article and only have one of three portions actually correct. Your point in your article is that you are fact-checking these other articles, and you didn't even fact-check them. You went along with what your ideology says and tells you, and you followed that, and it brought you to a half conclusion. In this first portion of your article, you said, Abbott slices and dices a Beto O'Rourke quote. Okay, everybody does that. Any news segment, any news site, any news article you read, any interview you read is edited, sliced and diced, and cut together. When someone goes on to MSNBC, CNN, or whatever, and they're having their little chat live on television, and it's going back and forth for like 3 minutes, and then they go to commercial break, their chat was probably much longer than that. But only certain portions can make it in. They only have so much time that they can allow for people to talk and discuss these things. In the second one, Ohio, J.D. Vance ad baselessly insinuates that Tim Ryan supports defunding the police. You got one right. And then the last one, an ad attacks Democratic governor while citing an incident that happened under a Republican governor. That may be true, the headline, but the point of the story negates your title. Just because he was attacked years ago doesn't mean that New Mexico doesn't still have crime problems that need to be addressed. So scroll back to the top here, make sure I get your name right. Daniel Dale. You almost did a decent job. You almost got 1 out of 3 pieces of your article correct. And yet you sit here at the top of this page, facts first with a check mark, and says fact check at the beginning of your article. So how do we, since this could happen to me, how do we deal with people like you that are going to just put out false, misleading headlines and sensational articles that aren't entirely true or proven? Again, I put my channel at risk every time I go live. Every time I put out an episode, if I don't have my facts, my opinions, my wording, or my verbiage exactly straight and correct, there's a chance that some little asshole like this is going to fact check me on my words and my verbiage. And if it doesn't match what the mainstream narrative is, then there's a potential that my account will be suspended. I'll lose monetization, or my ad or my channel will be banned entirely. Sometimes I won't even know. It'll just happen. Your channel's gone. Goodbye. This is the problem. People like CNN, MSNBC, ABC, any of those 3-letter alphabet companies. This is wrong with the people that you are getting your news from. They lie to your face every single day. In almost every article they write, something is bullshit. Something's not true. Something is not accurate. And you have to take the time to deep dive the fact checkers. Are you really going to just believe an article that says fact check, here's the facts? Or are you actually going to look into it a little bit yourself to see if you can find the same information that these fact checkers supposedly found? No. Here's the problem. The truth needs to be presented. The truth needs to be held accountable. And those who do not present the truth, twist it, manipulate it, or whatever else they do to defile the truth, we have to figure out something to deal with them. Should they be banned? No, I don't agree with the premise of silencing people's voices. Do we take away their monetization? No, that's not right. I don't want to lose my business because of something I may have misspoken on. So why would I want that to happen to someone else? No, we need to find something that's balanced but effective. And I don't have the answer. Let's have it to talk about it in the comment section. Maybe together we can come up with a great idea and together we can change the system. But anyway, folks, that's all I've got to say about it. The truth matters. Truth and facts. Do not believe article headlines. Do not believe what you're being presented with. Research it. Just research and dig up data and dig up studies before you make your own decision about how you should feel about something, about what you should think about something. And remember, the election season for 2022, just a couple months away, if not less. Make your voice heard. Look for people's policies. See if they actually mean to make meaningful change to America and the culture. And if not, don't vote them in or vote them out. Do not vote straight ticket. What do I mean? Do not vote straight Republican and do not vote straight Democrat. I'm not going to tell you how to vote. I don't give a shit how you vote. But you need to vote. We need to get people out of office who've been in office for 20, 30, 40, 50 years and haven't done a fucking thing for you or me. They need to get out of office. There's very few people who should actually be kept in, Republican, Democrat, or Independent. Why? Because they don't hold up to their values. They change their values. They don't vote the way their constituency wants them to. And these are things you have to pay attention to, just like you have to pay attention to the news. Well, I thank you all for coming back. I think this message was important, as always. And if you feel that it was also important, please like and share this video. Share it with people you think need to hear it. And if you like, please subscribe to my channel. That way you don't miss any notifications of any upcoming videos, as I post a couple times a week, but it's usually fairly random. But that way you get notified. And of course, if you want to try and disprove me in the comments section, I look forward to seeing you there. If you just want to just try and argue me with your emotional points, I don't care. I won't even give you the time of day. I'll be posting another video here soon in the next couple days, and I hope to see you then.